everybody, what's going on? And today we are playing Koi from Smirk and Laughter Games. And how's it going, Sarah?
Hi.
So what is Koi?
So Koi is a program movement game. Some popular program movement games would be like Ricochet Robots or Robo Rally. Colt Express is one that was popular some years back. So basically what's going to happen is you have a piece. It's usually a token. In this game, it's going to be a little koi fish. You have a piece that you are attempting to move for some reason or another. In this game, it's to eat frogs and dragonflies in this koi pond. So you have this piece and you're going to facilitate its movement in sort of a programmed way. So the way that we do that in this game comes in the shape of these cards. Let me find one. Here we go. Here's a good one. So the card will tell you exactly how the fish can move. So here's the little fish represented here at the bottom. This means that you can rotate him. So right now he's currently pointed in this direction here. But if I wanted to, well, I have to in this case, I would have to rotate him. So maybe I'd do something like that. And then I have to move 2 spaces ahead. So boop, boop. And then it would be the next player's turn and they continue. There's also a ton of special cards, which are all at the front here. Some optional ones. So these blue arrows are optional. So in order to complete this one here, I would have to move 1 space forward. So I move 1 space forward like that. Now, if I wanted to, I could move 1 space to the left. So if I did that from my fish's perspective, he would end up over here and he would eat this dragonfly. And then I could, if I wanted to, move 1 space to the right, and then I have to end my movement by moving 1 space forward. There are also specialty cards in the game, like these frogs and flowers. There's also some rocks in there as well. These are going to let you play special pieces onto the board. So the frogs, there's actually like little frogs that you can put that your koi fish can eat. The flowers land on the board and they cause ripples and it pushes out some of the pieces. The lily pads, sometimes if you spawn a lily pad, you can do that with a card. If you spawn a lily pad, then it's going to be sort of like the launch pad for another dragonfly at the beginning of the next round. So it's a fairly simple program movement game. You just, on your turn, you can play as many cards from your hand as you want to, as long as you actually complete all the steps that you're required to complete. You can play a card, and you can play any cards that you want to. You can also, on your turn, you can discard any number of cards to draw 1 less than the number of cards you discarded. So I could discard 2 cards and draw 1 card, right? Or I could like discard 3 cards and draw 2 cards. So on your turn, you just play or discard and draw cards until you don't want to anymore, or you can't. And then you pass turn, and it's the next player's turn. When every player's had a turn, that's 1 day in the koi pond. And then we would start off the next day by turning over a new weather card. The weather cards are going to introduce some variations in the form of like events. And then again, every player gets to have a turn, and then that signifies a day. We move on to the next day. Once you've completed 7 days in the koi pond, the game is over. There is a variation which we're going to play with today that you only complete 5 days in the koi pond instead of 7. So we're going to play with that today. This is my first game in a while, and I think your first game ever.
Yeah, this will be my first game ever.
So, and I'm not particularly thrilled with program movement games. They're one of my least favorite types of games just because I'm usually pretty bad at them.
But I feel like this is a little bit more of a redeeming one because you play a card and you do the card.
I'm still going to get totally tripped up. I know that. I know that about myself in program movement games. But this is one of the prettiest ones I've ever seen.
It's so pretty. Look at that board.
So we're going to give it a try.
And then look at that cover. It's all good. But yeah.
So we're going to give it a try and we'll come back like mid-game?
Yeah, mid-game. So like the 3rd day, probably, since it's odd number. But yeah, we'll come back and talk to you guys in a bit about how our experience so far is going. and what Sarah thinks of this programming movement game. All right, toodles. Sarah?
Hi there.
So, how's it going so far in Koi?
It's going pretty well. We're actually a little bit more than halfway through the game because we had a weather event that said that before cards were dealt, each player had to decide whether or not you were going to draw cards this round or play cards this round. And that was like all you could do, was one or the other. And Nick and I both needed cards, so we both just had to draw cards that round, so we didn't get to actually take any actions or anything like that since we couldn't play any cards. So that round was really, really fast since it was essentially just drawing cards. So we're a little bit more than halfway through the game. We're actually heading into the very last round, and we are playing, like we said, a reduced or a shorter version of the game because this was our first time playing. It was Nick's first time playing, and I'm traditionally very, very bad at program movement games. So we stuck with the shorter version. So we only played through 5 rounds with the weather cards, so it's 6 rounds in total. No, it's 5 rounds in total because you do start with 1 on the first round here. So we played through 5 rounds. Typically a game lasts for 7 days instead of 5. But we are, like we said, we play in the shortened version. So it's going well. We've got quite a bit of dragonflies on the field right now. Dragonflies are worth 3 points each if you can get your koi fish to eat them. Frogs are worth 1. Nick was able to eat a frog previously in the game. That sounds gross.
No.
And then he got a lot of dragonflies in his first round. And I didn't get any in my first round.
No, you got 1.
I don't think so.
No, you did.
I got 2 in the second round.
You got 3 in the second round.
Well, anyway, this is partly why program movement is bad for me, is because my memory is not that good. So Nick was able to eat quite a few dragonflies right away, and he shot up the point track. But since then, he hasn't been able to pull off like a big, huge feast.
Yeah, because you've been catching up and like with points. Because I was only to get 1 point. Well, you got I think 6 more points.
So
from your last one.
we're heading into the last round, and in this round, we are going to have a calm weather event, which means that before our turns, we can move 1 dragonfly 2 spaces in any direction. And that is going to enable me to definitely numb at least 1 dragonfly. But it won't let Nick do it. So, we've got our cards. We're ready to head into the last round. And yeah.
Yeah, we'll see who is the winner and the loser of Koi from Smirk and Laughter Games. All right, we'll get back with you guys in a little bit. So, toodles. Hey.
How's it going?
It's going good yourself?
I'm good.
Yes. Sarah is not a fan of program movement games, and I enjoy them because I like planning ahead and seeing if my thing works and it's really rewarding, or if it is a, crazy, just messy situation. Like in Robo Rally. Robo Rally, if you don't plan well, it just turns into a messy situation. But for this program movement game, I don't mind it. It's not my favorite though. But
it's not your favorite program movement game?
It's not my favorite program moving game because I like to have multiple cards that deal with so for this one, you play 1 card and that 1 card will move you, straight, left, right. In, for example, Robo Rally, you have multiple cards that will be 1 forward, to rotate this way, rotate. Oh,
you're saying because there are individual movements per card? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Whereas here, there's multiple movements on 1 card?
Yes. Which is also nice because, in either game you can, in Robo Rally, you can get stuck with cards that, you can't use. And in this game, you can get stuck with cards.
Isn't Robo Rally the one where you say, I can get there in X moves and then you have to... No. Oh, okay.
It's not that one.
Is that Ricochet Robots, maybe?
Yes. Pretty sure. Which is a good game, but also very frustrating because you're trying to it's a simultaneously thinking and you're trying to rush. But yeah, back to Koi. That'll be another vlog for another day. It's just I like this one but I would prefer other program movement. If you want to get into a program movement game and you want to start out with something simpler, definitely, I definitely go with Koi because again,
yeah, it is one of the like friendliest program movement games. I think it's pretty forgiving and it's really pleasant to like look at.
Yes.
And your opponents can like affect you and be able to like steal points away from you and stuff like that. But to me, it doesn't feel like a very hateful game.
Yeah, because even if you take points away, it's just, it can't be that many points sometimes in some situations. I think in a more of like a 3 or 4 player game, you could probably have more of that. But at the same time in Koi, you can affect, and this is what I like about Koi, is you can affect other things than just yourself. When you place a lily pad down, it ripples everything. So except for lily pad.
No, those the flowers.
The flowers, the blossoms. The flowers, when they're put down, they ripple everything. So they don't affect lily pads or rocks, but they affect everything else. And so it pushes it. So you could push something into your way, which I think is pretty cool. It's a pretty interesting way to think about, how to play out your turn. And that's another thing I like is I think in some games, I could be wrong, you have to play all your cards. In Koi, you don't. And then also in Koi, you can actually get rid of cards. You discard like 3 cards and you get 2 cards back, which is really cool because, okay, you don't have to.
Well, you can discard any number of cards.
Well, yeah, any number of cards, but I'm just using
and then you get one less than the number of cards you discarded.
Yeah. And that is really nice because you can, if you don't have anything to move, then you can just go ahead and discard cards, decide, well, do I want to keep these for another turn? Or do I want to play these out? Me and Sarah were playing a lot, and then we ran into one of the weather cards that was called Icy, and we played all our cards, and so if we had actually held on to cards, we could have had a turn of like, okay, my opponent can't do anything, so I'm going to go ahead and play all these cards.
Yeah.
And
but we just happened to both have no cards at that point.
Yeah, we both had no cards, and so no one got to play anything. And so, yeah, I think this is a good game. I think this is definitely, if you're a senior, experience with program movement games, this might be lacking a little bit for you. But again, this might be kind of maybe more your style of a program movement game. Just for me, it is not. But I think it's a good game. It's very beautiful.
I think it's really lovely, and it's very like sort of calm looking and peaceful. And I never do very well with program movement games. My mind just doesn't really wrap around what you need to be able to understand to like flawlessly execute program movement games. So I'm never very good at them. And
I think this could be a really nice filler.
Yeah.
This could be just,
it's a little long for a filler, but it feels like it has that filler feel to it.
Yeah, because again, program movement games are kind of like some of the games you are like the filler for. Like you don't use that as a filler, but I feel like in Koi you can use this as a filler because if you play something heavy, then
especially maybe if you play like the shortened version.
Yeah, play the shortened version because that's a nice okay, you only play so many times. And in the shortened version, you get to see what's coming up next, so that's even less thinking ahead. But then in the normal version, you get the weather card revealed when it starts at the beginning of that turn.
Yeah, so the weather cards, you play with weather cards. In the regular version of the game, you only reveal a weather card at the beginning of a round, so you kind of have to deal with that like right away. But in the shortened version, you get to see the next round weather card right away. So it lets you sort of plan ahead for the next round, maybe a little bit.
Which is nice. Bless you.
Excuse me.
But yeah, I think this is a good game. I think it's, again, I don't want to keep rehashing things or keep being a dead horse, but I think with the beauty of the game, the simplicity of it being a program movement game, and just the shortened version, it could be just real nice, a real nice filler, and a real nice.
It's so pretty.
Yeah, and a real nice kind of even a quick game, like that mid, maybe close to mid short game that you could play if you just want to get something in and you don't really feel like playing that massive game, or maybe something that's really short. And I think it kind of hits that sweet spot.
There's something in the rule book that I like. It says that, so these are like stone tokens that you can use in the game. There are certain cards that have stones on them, and when you play one of those cards, you can place a stone in the pond, and it blocks movement. You can't move through the stone at all. You have to jump over it or go around it. And it said in the rule book that you could, if you wanted to, for like added ambiance sort of thing, you could actually use like real pebbles. They said just replace the tokens, the stone tokens, with actual like pebbles. I think that that's a cute idea.
Definitely. I really think that would look like, even make it more. Now, to go one step further for like maybe a, the words I'm looking for is an upgrade. I think that would be really cool to upgrade everything, just to have it as like no, I know that's more money and all that stuff, but I think if you did like a kind of a clay-ish looking, like kind of like what is it, the latest Stonemaier game, not Pendulum but Tapestry. If you had like molded tapestry like dragonflies, lily pads, frogs, this game would be just ridiculous. It would be so beautiful. Or even, now this might be really crazy, if they were all glass.
Oh, that would be amazing. Yeah, that would be. But I think I'd be afraid to play with it at that point, because I wouldn't want to break any of it.
You couldn't put them in these like little bit bowls that we have. You'd have to kind of like place them out. But I think that would just be like seriously like super freaking
I think it's
awesome.
really lovely the way that it is. I think that would be gorgeous, but I don't think it's at all necessary.
No,
I think it's
no,
really
it's not.
beautiful. Like the production is really well done, so I think it looks really good the way that it is. I just thought that little note in the rule book about using real stones was kind of cute.
Yeah, it's like a little upgrade that everyone can do.
That you can do, just finding little pebbles around.
Pebbles that you're like, ooh, this would be, and someone just looks at you like, that guy's picking up a pedal, that girl's picking up a pedal. Like, hey man, it's for my board game. Lay off me. Or you could even borrow it from, what's that other Smirk and Dagger game?
Shobu.
You could borrow Shobu.
I think they're a little big, maybe, but it would work just fine. And actually, Shobu is a neat 2-player abstract strategy game from the same publisher.
Yeah. Is it Smirk and Laughter or Smirk and Dagger?
I don't know. Smirk and Laughter is like an imprint of Smirk and Dagger.
Yeah.
And it's probably Smirk and Dagger that does Shobu, but I don't know for sure. So one of those does Shobu, which is a game. It's not at all similar to this one, but it has sort of like natural looking components to it, including
that Zen feel.
Yeah, including some pebbles, so you could just
pebbles and rope and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But all right, so this was our vlog of Koi. Hope you all enjoyed it, and we will see you next time. Bye.